What is up, guys? It's your boy Breezy, a brand new episode of the UnNamed podcast. If you guys missed the previous one, which was episode 2, link will be down in the description, as well as there should be tabs where you guys can go click that and listen to that. I'm going to do a quick recap of episode 2. Basically, we talked about all the sets and all the cards that came out of those sets that basically impacted that year. We also had Firewall. A little spoiler alert. For many of you guys have already know, Firewall got banned, the very first Link monster, which is very insane. We never thought that would happen. But if you guys want to listen to everything from episode 2, link will be down in the description where you guys can go check that out. And if you guys are new to the podcast and the channel, hit the subscribe button so it lets you guys know when my latest video comes out and the latest podcast is premiered, as well as put notifications on as well. That helps you guys be notified as well for all that good stuff. So with episode 3, we've actually had some quite amount of news. Don't mind my speech because sometimes it likes to twist its words up. But today's topics we're going to be talking about is Ycs Sydney that happened this past weekend, as well as the top 64 decks that ended up making the top 64, how many players attended the event, and we're going to talk about some of the Orcust support. And we're getting more field centers, not for us, for the public, but for the judges. So let's start off with Ycs Sydney. I was unable to actually watch this, but I do have here, you guys can't see it at the moment, but I'll probably put it up on the screen so you guys can see it. If you guys haven't seen already, I'm pretty late on talking about that, but certain topics that we do here on the podcast get talked about a little bit later. Sometimes they get talked about a little bit sooner as they do happen. So with that being said, let's start with the first 3 decks, which the first 2 decks are to be, expected. But the first deck that was most represented in the top 64 for the meta breakdown was 17 Sky Strikers. That deck, in a way, I felt like probably was the best going into that event. It was one of the most consistent decks, and even though it ended up getting hit with Drone to 1, the deck still plays the way it does. You just set up your stuff to the graveyard with multi-roll, and then use multi-roll, and then you have everything back, which is fairly insane. Ray, you guys understand the way the deck works. If you don't, you've been living under a rock or have been taking a break from the game. Going with the second most represented deck, and that is Thunder Dragons. Thunder Dragons, upon release, before they ended up coming into TCG, I knew this deck was going to be meta, just because of the fact that they're basically like hand traps, and they're quick effects from hand. So you activate them from hand, get their effects, etc. They also have effects that when they're banished, they do a whole bunch of stuff. They make strong boards, kind of like when Goki with the U-Link, except with this, you don't U-Link your opponent. You make double Colossus, a Titan, and whatever else your mind decides to do for that setup. Then taking the third spot, which in a way was kind of a surprise, but wasn't, which was Altergeist. It took 10 spots, which in a way, like I said, it surprises me, but it doesn't, because of the fact that if you have Red Reboot, you kind of win, and if you can get rid of your opponent's life points right then and there to OTK them, or at least get them down to enough when you go into time, you're pretty good. But Altergeist, they can rely on a whole bunch of traps. They have Protocol, which you can run a spicy tech of Skill Drain. As long as you have Protocol on board, you're set. As long as you don't face a deck that basically doesn't get affected by Skill Drain. Then you have Burning Abyss, of course, always making some type of top sneak and top cut, whatever. It's always been one of those decks to where since released, it got hit on the ban list. Dante, obviously, always sneaking through the ban list. Always. Shout out to the Burning Abyss players. But anyways, Burning Abyss having 3 spots. Then you have Pendulums and Trickstars, which have 3 spots as well. Then you have 2 Prank Kids, 2 light swarms, which was kind of interesting. But if you play it right, you can make Curious, Abyss Dweller, as well as Nacheria Beast if you have the setup right, and you basically have GG at that point. And then hopefully you side correctly. Then you have 2 zombies, which I'm assuming is the Mayakashi FTK or just zombies in general. Then you have a whole bunch of, I think there's like 6 spots or 5 that have 1 per deck for the spot. You have 1 Invoked, 1 Zephyra, 1 Gemini, which I'm assuming is Gemini FTK, 1 Dynamist, which I'm pretty sure shocked a lot of people. You can make Infinity, you can use not Exciton Knight. I'm pretty sure you can make that in there, but you can make Electrum Knight. There you go. I was trying to think of it. Then you have Slash Draw FTK, then 1 Rongo for taking that spot for the deck. So with that being said, you had 890 players, close to 900 players into this YCS. I know a lot of people say, oh, you know, the game's dead. They've been saying that for years. Come on now. Just because of how the game has gotten, and people are going to say, oh, well, you know, Master Rule 4 ended up, you know, or I think it's Master Rule 4. I just call it link format. But anyways, it ruined the game and all these hand traps. Not to try and make fun of anybody, but it's just those type of people don't know how to adapt with the game. So that's everything for YCS Sydney. Congratulations to the guy that ended up getting first place and winning it with Altergeist. Pretty insane. Let's go on to the Orcust support. Now, you guys know I love Orcust. Throughout the years, I've always played Rogue. Here and there, I've tested with meta, and I can understand why people play it. And it's really good to actually end up playing meta, so you understand how the deck goes, the strategy, etc. So when you do go into a tournament with a deck that you love, or that has a potential of getting your invite, or you're just messing around, you understand how those decks interact with the side, etc. But I've always loved Orcust. I picked up everything as soon as they came out. I knew that they were going to be something. Well, these next 2 cards actually ended up kind of breaking the archetype, and we'll see how it goes in the TCG. It ended up getting hyped because once this got released, the secret Orcust Return, or I think it's Orchestrated Return is the correct name, is like a D-Draw. You get to send, which is cost sadly, but 1 Orcust or 1 Orcust or World Legacy card or monster, I think it's card or monster, from the field or hand to the grave and then draw 2. So essentially, you have to send this cost either way. That ended up going to about $8. Now, I'm pretty sure it's going to end up falling, so I would say, guys, get yours now, because once these 2 cards come out, man, I will tell you, that card, I want to say maybe at least $15 due to hype when it ends up getting out. Don't quote me on it, but it's just something I'm just gonna guess. Anyways, let's get into the Exceed monster that we're getting. It is a rank 8, I believe it's called Orcust. I'm not even gonna finish it, but basically it is a Dark Machine Exceed effect monster, rank 8, 2600 attack and 2100 defense. Takes 2 level 8 monsters. But the cool thing with this is if you're playing Orcust, you don't need that. You can only special summon this once per turn. You can only exceed this card by using 1 Orcust link monster you control as material. That's kind of broken because we really haven't had anything besides a trap card that allows you to use this as material, or this card as material, or I believe that's what it's called. But anyways, we really haven't had anything similar to that. Unless I'm missing something, let me know in the comment section down below. But the first effect, if this card is special summoned, so it doesn't matter how it's brought out, but you're gonna use your Orcust skeleton to bring it back, you can apply one of these effects. The first effect, send 1 card your opponent controls to the graveyard. The second for the first one, attach one of your banished machine monsters to this card as material. And then the secondary effect, if this card you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can detach one material from this card instead. So with this, it's pretty insane because it doesn't matter which Orcust Link monster you control. It can be the Link 2, it can be Lingrusu, it could be the Link 4, which sometimes you go into, but you really don't, depending on the build you go into, but it's nice to have. The cool thing is the fact that when you have Lingrusu, you can send one card, that card, your opponent's card is linked to, not a Link monster, a Link 2, which a lot of people misread it when I ended up playing it at the Crush Card Tournament and the Regional. But with this edition, it can send any card your opponent controls. It could be a monster, it could be a field spell, it could be a back row, which is fairly insane. We don't know what the meta is going to be like, but I'm fairly excited. And then the fact that you get to attach one of your banished machine monsters to the graveyard as material, which this means, one, you're gonna load your banish up with, the Orcust and the World Legacy Wonder Wand. So essentially, you're gonna be able to put them back into the graveyard once you use that other effect. Whenever they're destroyed by battle or card effect, you could detach instead, which is really cool. And then we ended up getting, get this, a counter trap. Basically, it is a Infinity Barrier, and the cool thing is you can set it with the Link 2, and that's pretty broken in my eyes. If you set up your field right with this, I believe you're going to be able to end up having calamities anyways. But whenever you have this counter trap and you're not able to get the rank up spell from the Phantom Knight, which you should be able to go into calamities or 92, whatever your heart desires, 9 times out of 10 you're going to be able to do what you want and have control of the game. If your opponent can't stop you. Then the second, basically what it does, it has the Infinity Barrier-like effect. The name is Orcust Climax. I meant to mention that, but the secondary effect is really cool too, because you have an Infinity Barrier mixed with a Rhoda. You can banish this, and then I believe you get to add either one of your banished or a machine Orcust from your deck to your hand. I'm just remember what exactly it does at the top of my head, so I don't know if I said everything correctly besides the Infinity Barrier part, but I know we have a Rhoda built-in counter trap, which is insane. It's searchable in a way, if you want to say, but you get to set it directly from your deck if you haven't used the Link 2's effect. This deck is going to be broken. Get your Orcust stuff now. It is fairly cheap. You have Orchestrated Return, which is a secret rare, which, like I said, once I think these cards come out, I believe it's out of Neostorm or Dark Neostorm, you're going to want to get it. And I'm pretty sure this card is going to be expensive. The rest is pretty easy. They're super rares and rares. And lately, anything that Konami's been printing, either common or rare, has basically been broken or super. So I'm fairly excited. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this new Orcust support. Are you guys going to be playing it? I'm just going to let you guys know I've been playing it before it ended up getting hyped, and it got this new support along with a bunch of other people because we seen potential in this deck. Even Jeff Jones seen it when this new support came out. But anyways, that's enough about the Orcust support. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this. I know it's been out for about a week or so, but I'm just getting to it now. Then the last topic we're going to be talking about for the podcast is the new field centers. These are not going to be open to the public, only if you are a judge. If I'm correct, there are 3 of them. There's a Dark Magician Girl, there is a Slifer the Sky Dragon, and there is a Beatrice. I'm pretty sure they're going to be expensive like the YCS dice. So if you're able to get your hands on one of them, I would hold on to them. Or if you have a friend that is actually wanting one, I have a friend that loves Burning Abyss, and for any of the Burning Abyss players, try and get the Beatrice one if you can from any of your judge friends if they don't want to keep them. But like I said, I'm pretty sure they're going to go for a good amount, just like the YCS dice. And these are not for the public, once again. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this week's podcast. If there's anything you guys felt that I could have talked about from the past week or so, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll gladly, hopefully, touch base on it in next week's podcast. I know this one's going up a little bit late. I'm sorry. Maybe 2 days late or a day late, depending on when this comes out, but it will end up getting uploaded this week. So let me know in the comment section down below if you guys have any topics you guys want me to talk about, and I'll take them into consideration and hopefully add them to next week's podcast if nothing overrides it. Again, if you guys are new to the channel and new to listening to the podcast, hit the subscribe button with the notification bell so you guys know when the latest podcast is uploaded, as well as when the latest video is premiered. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. It's your boy Young Breezy, and I'm out. Doses.